The justification for firearm registration is to help police solve crimes, but we know the truth. Gun grabbers have been trying to implement firearm registration schemes for decades. They were somewhat successful in 1934 when the National Firearms Act went into effect. Not only did the NFA require a special tax on certain firearms, which we discussed in the last video, but registration was also required. Of course, people were told that the registration of certain firearms was for their own good and it would help keep them safe. Our founding fathers didn't write the Second Amendment to say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, as long as the government knows what guns you have and the address at which they're located. There was a certain level of privacy and understanding that my guns are none of your business. Since then, some states have done everything they can to get into your gun safe. States like New York and California have gone as far to deny their citizens the protection of anonymity by taking the background check system in-house to their own state police departments, bypassing the NICS system for the purpose of collecting personal data at the state level and violating the privacy protections at the federal level. Now, the claim that gun registration is necessary for the purpose of keeping people safe falls apart for a couple of reasons. Criminals would simply avoid registration altogether, and left-wing politicians are actually letting the bad guys out of jail. So who are the registration requirements really for? New York Democrats not only brought their firearm background check system in-house to their state police department, but they also added a background check on ammunition and created a bail reform and early release policies for the bad guys. Oh yeah, Kathy Hochul, the governor, well, she also let 191 prisoners out of Rikers Island as soon as she was appointed governor. Tell me again how these policies keep people safe? The answer's simple. They don't. Gun registries were never created for the purpose of public safety. Gun registration has always been for the purpose of future confiscation. And the people governments most want to confiscate guns from are those who would likely stand up to tyranny. So I guess you could say gun registries do benefit some people, the wrong people. Throughout history, there have been extensive examples of governments murdering their own people after implementing wide-ranging gun confiscations. For example, 1 year after the NFA was written into law here in America, China implemented strict gun control laws. But remember, they had nothing resembling our Second Amendment. Between 1949 and 1953, during the campaign to suppress counter-revolutionaries, the Chinese Communist Party executed between 712,000 and 2 million individuals accused of being counter-revolutionaries. Additionally, at that same time, during the land reform movement, estimates suggest that between 200,000 and 5 million Chinese people were also killed. Now, the land reform movement in China was a campaign aimed at redistributing the land from landlords to peasants. While the Chinese government portrayed it as a necessary step for social justice, sound familiar? Historical records indicate that the movement resulted in a substantial number of deaths. After the land reform movement in China, and after taking from the rich and giving to the poor, the Chinese Communist Party was able to consolidate significant political power and extend its control over both rural and urban society. You see, the peasants were given the land formerly owned by landlords, cementing their loyalty to the government. But what the government really gained was the people's dependency. You see the pattern yet? So here's an idea. Let's not let them confiscate our guns or create tools like gun registries that would give them the ability to do so. Let's remind those in our government who they work for. You want to know why the National Firearms Act was implemented in 1934? The tax on firearms was implemented to create a chilling effect, preventing people from exercising their Second Amendment rights while creating another possibility for people to break the law. That would be the failure of paying the tax. The registration of firearms in the NFA was for the purpose of being able to know what guns you owned and the home address where they could be found. And we should thank our founders every day for the Second Amendment. They saw these people coming over 200 years away. GOA and GOF have been on the front lines fighting to abolish the National Firearms Act. There's no compromising when it comes to our Second Amendment. Thanks for watching Bullet Points. I'm Dan Wass for Gun Owners Foundation. You can find more Second Amendment content and updates at gunowners.com.